Blades Ramble are proudly supported by our main channel sponsor, My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. We would not be where we are without the incredible support of John and the team. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades, and welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is our traditional now, I think it's fair to say, our traditional squad assessment. So we're out of another transfer window. I'm just going to check that my mic is working because yes, it is. Thank goodness for that. Yeah, we come out of the transfer window now, and it's our little way of assessing how strong our squad is now that the window is done. So, well, let me first start. There's a lot of work that goes into these, by the way, but it's a labour of love. I absolutely love doing these and putting them together because I think it's quite a unique way of looking at it. It's certainly not foolproof, and what I will say at the start is it is just a bit of fun. So I'm going to grade players out of 5. This is in fact how we do it. So you grade every player out of 5. It's 2 players per position. Then you add them together to get a total on that position's depth. If you've got a third player that can play in that spot, and you can't use more than one position for one player, but if you've got a third player, say we've got 3 right backs, you grade the first 2 right backs out of 5, and the third one, just gets a +1. So that's how we're going to do it. This is the Ramble squad assessment. And for those of you that have been here a while, you will have seen this before. And hopefully those that haven't, you will enjoy it. So we start off with the goalkeeper position. I'm going to stick with the 4-2-3-1. There's a lot of ways we could go with this. A lot of us are suggesting that a 3-4-3 or a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-4-1-2 might even be the way to go for Ruben Selles. But I think sticking to what we know, we'll stick with the 4-2-3-1. I know some think it's a 4-3-3 at times, and I understand that. For simplicity, we're going 4-2-3-1. That's how we're doing it, okay? So, goalkeeper first, and this will give you a prime example of what we're talking about. Michael Cooper, our number 1, I think, at championship level, is an excellent option for Sheffield United. So, let me know if you disagree with that. There's not an awful lot else I can say about Michael Cooper other than I wouldn't swap him for any other goalkeeper in the league. I don't think he's started amazingly. I don't think he's quite had the same presence that he's had in that we saw last season. However, none of the players have. So we can't sort of pull out individuals, and I'm not going to do that this stream either. So that's a 5 out of 5 for Cooper. And then the next goalkeeper behind him is Adam Davis. Now, let me show you the rankings again. So we've got 1 is poor, 2 is average, 3 is decent to good, 4 is very good, and 5 is excellent. So I am giving Adam Davis a 2. I think he's quite an average goalkeeper, particularly at this level. I think it'd be too harsh to say poor because he's passable at times. You'd be all right with him coming in for the odd game. You wouldn't want him in for an extended period of time. A lot of people have been calling for, should we have strengthened the goalkeeping department? I think there's been other priority areas this window. I think it's also hard to find a goalkeeper that is average, okay, that is happy at this level, that is happy to sit on the bench and doesn't cause any problems or anything like that. So that's what you want in terms of, in a lot of ways. You'd want a stronger goalkeeper behind, but you don't want anybody causing problems because that can be an issue. So, together, 5 and a 2. I tell you what, key stage 2, I think this is, something like that. We are up to 7 out of 10. Look, I could include Luke Faxon in this. but I haven't done because I don't think he's played a professional game for the club yet. So, and it's very unlikely we'll see him. So we have got a 7 for the goalkeeper's position. And that is how we're going to work through this. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree in the comments. We'll come to them at the end and we're just going to go through it. And I want to know what you think to our squad depth overall. But I think starting off with a goalkeeper, I think our overall, if you looked at our goalkeeping department as a whole, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. So that's how we're going to go. Okay, on to right back. First and foremost, Ben Godfrey, come in from Atalanta, has had a good career, a very good career. I think he's been capped at England level. Came up through Norwich, signed for Everton, did well for Everton, and then sort of as they improved and kicked on, slipped down the rankings a little bit, ended up at Atalanta, and we've got him on loan. He's on big money. But in terms of what he offers us on the pitch, I think at Championship level, I think Ben Godfrey is very good. I've got him down as a right back because although he started as a centre half, he has since made his name more so at right back. He can play both positions effectively, I think, certainly at this level. I think he's a 4 out of 5 for me in terms of a signing at Championship level. Femi Siriki underneath him. I really like Femi Siriki as an attacking, well, as a wing back, really. I think that's more his position. I think defensively, he has got a lot to work on. I think he relies on his pace to get him out of trouble. But I also think there's a real player in there. So I'm giving Femi Siriki a decent to good rating. I think it's, I think he's a strong option for us underneath Godfrey. And I think that's us at right back looking really well. But also what we have to consider is, and we don't talk about him much because he hasn't been seen, hasn't been available for whatever reason, whether it be injury or other issues. But somebody that we know that Ruben Selles is considering using because of the way he played under Marcelo Bielsa is Jamie Shackleton. And because he's the 3rd in the same position, he gets a +1. Because I think he's beneath both Godfrey and Siriki in the pecking order. But if we consider him a right back, then we are giving him the 3rd man spot. So that is an 8. So we are in an 8th. In terms of squad depth at right back, I think it's 8 out of 10. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm pretty pleased how we're shaping up. Again, let me know. Let me know how you guys feel about that. And let me know how you feel about the scoring system and stuff like that. As I say, it's only a bit of fun. This is just my opinion. It's not. It's a bit of a laugh, really. But just a sort of idle squad assessment. Now, centre defence. This is where I think there'll be some debate. And you could mix and match it. You could do it a couple of different ways around. We certainly stacked in terms of numbers, but how does that line up on the pitch? I'm giving Japhet Tanganga an excellent. He's played one game, but in terms of my excitement levels, what we've seen of him previously at Millwall, my starting right centre back, one of the first names on the team sheet is our Anel Ahmedhodzic replacement directly, Japhet Tanganga. Excellent. I don't think there's any other way to describe it. I'm really pleased with the signing. And behind him, you could have gone, as I say, you could have gone a couple of different ways. But I'm putting Tyler Binden behind him at right centre-back. And I'm giving him an average rating. Because we haven't seen... Look, I was excited when Binden signed. I think the expectation level... I think we were expecting a lot of him, to be honest, me included. He played really well at League One level, but he hasn't quite lived up to it as yet. Has he? He's had a difficult start, as have all the players, and hopefully with better players around him, he will improve as a player himself. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see if that comes to fruition. So at right centre back overall, we've got a 7 strength, and on the pitch that gives us a 7 next to the 8 at right back. So let me know what you guys think to that, whether you agree or not. Left centre-back. Now, this will be an interesting one for who you think starts. I think initially it's going to be McGuinness. But for me, it's me. So Ben Mee, I think, is a very good signing for Sheffield United. On this, I'm relying on more than just what he can offer us on the pitch. Because if we get, Ben Mee of 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, he's one of the first names on the team sheet. He's 35 now. I'm not expecting that absolute colossus at the back. I'm still expecting a good player to very good player, but I also think he offers us so much more. We've spoken about it a lot on the channel in terms of leadership and all these other great attributes that he will bring us. I would certainly give him the captain's armband. So I'm giving Ben Mee a very good 4 out of 5 in his personal rating. Mark McGuinness, I am not. I'm just unsure. I'm pleased we've got him. I'm pleased that we have probably paid a lot less than what Luton paid for him at the time. I think he's a young centre-back at 24. I think it's, depending on how much we've paid for him, which I don't think will be an awful lot, I think it's a smart deal. So he may be the one to start alongside Tanganga and see how he goes. Luton fans think a lot of him. So for me, he's decent to good. He's certainly unproven, but I think a player who's just in the last 3 years, signed for £10 million, you cannot give him anything but, well, he's got to be decent, hasn't he? But we'll wait and see what happens from Mark McGuinness. And behind them, backing him up as the third man, is our mate Matty. So I don't think Matty will play an awful lot of football. He may get a little sniff if we go to a 3 at the back, but for this purpose, we are looking at a 4-2-3-1, aren't we? Just to stick with the formation. So that leaves us with an 8 at left centre back. And on the pitch, that is how it looks. I think we're starting to look very strong in defence, and I'm pleased. I'm pleased with it. Now, you move on to left back, and before the window opened, you could potentially say that left back was our strongest position. I think last season, I haven't had a look at what I rated last season, intentionally really, because I don't want to be skewed in how I rate them this time. I want to just have a sort of empty mind as to, a lot of people say I've got an empty mind, but have an empty mind and a blank canvas as to how I like grade people, just in my opinion at the time I'm doing it. And I think I gave Harrison Burrows a 4 last time. Well, I'm disappointed to be giving him a 3. Decent to good. I don't think he's done enough to maintain a very good at the level at the moment. I think he's started really. He's one of the poorer players this season, in and amongst. But it's a shame because I really like him and I really rate him as a player. At the moment, I can't justify giving him a 4 out of 5. Certainly, he's got the ability. I think he's got the ability to become a 5 out of 5, if I'm honest. But at the moment, we're not quite seeing it. So, unfortunately, he gets a 3. And behind him, Sam McCallum is lucky to get an average, to be honest. I'm not a fan. And that's... I don't get any pleasure in saying that. I know that we've talked before about squad depth, and is it my dad that's always quite strong on? You need 9s in your 11, and then you can have 6s as the backup. Well, he's certainly a drop off from Harrison Burrows. We saw a little bit out of Sam McCallum early on last season, and then I feel like he drifted a little bit, and it's unfair to mark him on stuff like coming on as right back and things like that. I just think from what we've seen of him this season already, not just because he skied it over the bar the other day, but from what we've seen of him already, I'm not. I don't know. I think we can improve in that position. I have to be honest. So at left back, unfortunately, we get a pretty average 5 out of 10, and that leaves us looking like this. So again, let me know if you agree or not. Before we go on to midfield, I'm going to come on to a couple of comments. So we'll see what other people are saying. But this is how we're doing it, and this is how we've been doing it for the past few transfer windows. So just a bit of fun, as I say. Justin says, for me, we just have to get through results now to be in the mix for a playoff spot in January and get to the final pieces of the jigsaw and go for it. Never expected us to be more than a playoff contender anyway. Josh says, I had a look at the 25-man squad rules. All loans must be included. All players under 21 as of the 1st of Jan 2025 don't need to be included, but can still play. Under 21s are Peck, One, Ukaki, Faxon, Marsh, Curtis, Zatterstrom, Matos and Arblaster. So I think we have 22. So we have 3 spaces left. Would you look at free agents or save them for January? I like Josh De Silva, Yanis Hadji and Emmanuel Dennis. Emmanuel Dennis is a good player. Not lost his way a little bit, hasn't he? What I would say is, where does he fit into this team? I think we can probably wait until we've done the full squad assessment, and then we can have a look at whether I think, or we think, or whoever thinks, it's a game of opinions, isn't it? Is needs strengthening, and where we could potentially look at free agents, like Josh says. Nate says, morning, Jimmy. It's crazy to think that last season when you did this, left back was probably our strongest position. Now it's our weakest. And he's done that before. He's done that 14 minutes before I've spoken about it. But yeah, Nate, great minds, pal. Great minds. This squad is now good enough to challenge for top 6. No excuses now. Up all the rambles. Thank you, pal. Nige says, good morning, Jimmy. The squad is great and hope the new players will help gel the team. Yeah, me too, pal. Zonny says, squad is in brilliant shape. If Sayers can't get a tune out of these players, he needs to never work in football again and start knitting classes. Okay. Pete says, morning, Jimmy. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Morning, Pete. Hope you and Di are all right, and Kim and the rest of the family. Morning, Jimmy says, positive Keith. What do you think of the Blades giving Dele Alli a trial, even for depth in the attacking midfield area? Well, we'll have a little look at the attacking midfield area and see if we think we need him. Phil says, morning, Jim. Up the Blades. How many centre-backs do we need, mate? We've got a lot, haven't we, pal? We have got a lot. We've got more than enough, I think, to be honest. Daz says, morning, Jimmy. Looking much healthier squad-wise. We just need a manager to put the pieces together. Whether that's Sayers, only time will tell, unfortunately. Uber for Sayers. Well, I know a guy. Sound keeps cutting out. Oh, does it? Luke says, it's audio's fine here. Thank you, mate. One person on the bench causing problems. Ruben Selles. Oh, how's me sound? Clicked off and back on. It's fine now. All right, okay. Beast Boy says, morning, Jimmy. The summer would have been a good summer if we didn't let Brewster go, but that was such a huge mistake, so it can't be more than a 5 out of 10. Sonny Glasby of Glasby's Pallets, sponsors of Ramble FC and Behind the Ramble. Thank you, pal. Hope you're good. Morning, Jimmy lad. Day off today with berry sandwich and a cuppa. Even better now, watching some Ramble. I honestly think that this squad depth and 2 weeks to embed everyone, we should start. We should, mate. We should. It's whether we do. Howard and Eve say, Leeds fan here, Jimbo. Gutted we didn't get Gus from you. If we put an offer in, he would have come. I daren't talk about it, to be honest. Jimmy, Lee says, Lee the Wakey Blade says, Jimmy, we act like Wilder is a name we must not speak. He wants the job. I know it's unlikely, but members of the board still like him. Members of the fan base still like him as well. I think, Lee, we just get, we risk falling into this continuous cycle of bring him back, which I would advocate for, obviously. But we are where we are, and I think we need to support the current manager, whether we agree with it or not, whether we think he's capable or not. We support the side, don't we? So we will have no influence over whether Chris Wilder comes back or not. And if they do sack Ruben Selles, chances are it won't be Chris Wilder in the hot seat, and we've got to then support the new manager. And that we can't then, as soon as it goes wrong, be like, well, it should be Wilder. I just think we've got to get me and you both, Lee, and I'm sure there's a few more of us, have to get our heads round. It's a closed chapter. Whether it's a closed book, I'm not sure, but it's certainly a closed chapter, and we move forward and we support United for whoever's in charge. Jack says, personally, I think we're well below where we are supposed to be. Bar 2 signings, I think he means, especially for what we want to achieve. Dino says, sounds like Norman Cully. Agreed. Ben, me and Tanganga can't be a better partnership. Also, me will be a good talker during the game. I think that's massively underrated, James. I completely agree. Squad post deadline day looks strong for the championship. Hopefully the Vinny gap has been adequately filled. We'll wait and see. Sayers needs results now. Looks built for a back 3 and wing backs, so built for Wilder. I would agree, other than bringing in the wingers, because we brought in some wingers, haven't we, which we'll get to. Phil says, I would play 3 at the back. Me, Tanganga and Godfrey with Sariki and Burrows as the wing backs. I would too, Phil. I just don't think he will. Sonny says, I think we should go with a back 3 with Tanganga, me and Godfrey. Wing backs much better suitors, and I think Matos would be such a great player. Could be such a great player for us. I think the Sousa role was the biggest position needed. I agree. I've not seen enough of him though, pal, to see whether he is the answer. I don't know is the honest thing, but we'll come to him. I'm happy with any formation as long as Sayers isn't the coach. Chef Steele says, pleased with the window, but it reminds me slightly of the Forest signings from the other year. It seems a bit disorganised. It works for them though, didn't it, pal? It works for them. Mackie says, I have a feeling that Matos will come and be a great player for us. Young, hard-working and a good background as long as Sayers plays him. That's true. Mark says, I gave our window an overall 6.5 out of 10. Feel some are either unproven or had recent injuries, which is a worry. Time to start putting performances in, but under this manager, I am worried. Needs to go. It's time to go. Good assessment. So, so right about McCallum. He's been awful when he's come on. Up all the rambles, like and subscribe. Thank you, Ray. Mark says, I do like the depth of the squad now, though, and we have strengthened, so no excuse now. Letting Brewster go was the best bit of the summer. Chip Butty says, feeling good about the new additions. Shouts for last night. Great stream with the other side. Thank you, mate. That were on Ramble FC. That was Steel City Showdown that we did with James from the Wednesday Till I Die podcast. If you've not already seen it, do go over and give it a watch. We just have a bit of a moan fest, really, but it's quite. I really enjoyed it. We're an interesting conversation. But who's doing worse, us or them? Unbelievable. Ray says audio's fine here. Can't wait for the break to finish and see the Blades back in action. Say us out. Thank you, mate. Michael says, morning, Jimmy. Enjoying the ramble in Cali Beach, Turkey. Nice, mate. I love that. Love that. Thank you, pal. Luke says, I do agree. We shouldn't default to bringing back Wilder, but shouldn't have gone in the first place. Absolutely right, mate. If we can get Dyche, I think that's the best we could do. Would love Sean Dyche. If Wilder came back to watch a game in the Cop, he would get a guard of honour from the fans. He certainly would. Keen Jelly says, despite pinching Gus from us, the Blades are in a healthier position compared with pre-deadline. Fully expecting a turnaround in your fortunes. Marching on together up the Blades ramble. Right, okay. We'll come back to remind me. I think it's Phil that I'm on for the next comment. So we'll move into midfield then. And some may feel I'm cheating here, but I am including Ollie Arblaster because Ollie Arblaster will undoubtedly come back into this side. We're hoping it's within the next. I don't know this because the comeback dates have moved. They've sometimes been estimated as coming back sooner, sometimes been pushed back. He went on social media just recently and said it's going to be nowhere near New Year. So I think it'll be, as in like, it's going to be sooner than that. So if we give him a cautious estimate of around 6 weeks, maybe 8 in a worst case scenario, then I'm putting Ollie Arblaster in this side. And what Ollie Arblaster gives is an excellent rating. At this level, he's captained us in the Premier League. I know it was a poor season, but he was a shining light in that season. If he can come back anything like he was, then in our right centre midfield spot, Ollie Arblaster is the boy. And alongside him, Siddy Peck, I'm giving a very good. And I'm not basing this on his performances this season. I'm basing this on him being in his more comfortable position when he's got somebody alongside him who is competent at winning the ball. So I'm not putting Peck and Arblaster together as a two because I don't necessarily think that complements each other too well at the moment. I'm putting Peck alongside a ball winner and I'm putting Arblaster alongside a ball winner. Arblaster can do a bit of everything, as we know. But I think it's a 5 and a 4 respectively for our right centre midfield when they are given the licence to play as they can. And they get a 9. It's our first 9 on the field. May not be our last. But yeah, that is a position I think we're really strong. But in order to do that and get those performances out of them, you need a ball winner next to them. And Matos has been brought in to do that job. Now, I don't know enough about Matos. I've been open about that. I've not really seen him play. We can all watch highlights on YouTube. I can take recommendations from people that I respect and believe have a strong grip of what we need and what their opinion of the game and stuff. But I haven't seen him play for an extended amount of time. So because of that, I can only give him a decent to good. I am hoping that he smashes through this and sort of goes very good to excellent very soon. But I think because he's, in my eyes, it's just, I'm quite optimistic about the signing rather than I'm really excited about it. I'm just trying to be cautious with what we give him. I can't give him a very good because I haven't seen him. So, and it's similar, but we've seen a little bit more of Jibril Samare. So these are the 2 ball winners that have been brought in. So it'll be either or that plays, unless you want to be a little bit more cautious. Then you could play Matos and Samare together. I don't think he'll do that because he's obviously favoured Peck a lot over Samare. But you could have the 2 holders and maybe a Gus Hamer or a Callum O'Hare in the 10. Then there's different ways we can go about this, and this is why it's such a strong squad depth. But I've given Samari, just based on 60 minutes, really, against Birmingham and what we've seen of him, I think he's a decent to good signing. And again, there's the potential there to kick on further. And I think as a ball winner, something that we need. I think it's a really strong option that we've got now with Matos and Samari, and also another injured player that we tend to forget about. The third man in this scenario, look at those beautiful locks of hair. Tom Davis is our third man in this scenario. So that gives us a 7 in the left side of midfield for our holding midfielder. So this is how I'm assessing it. As I say, it's only a bit of fun. And it's not, it's just my sort of chuck it out there. Let's have a quick opinion on this guy and this guy and this guy at the moment. But you let me know whether you agree with that or not. So, moving on to the right wing then. And I think this has been sort of overlooked slightly. I think we've all mentioned it at certain points, but because of the overwhelming need to strengthen the middle of the park, certainly it started off as centre half that we needed. We've definitely done that. And then it became the middle of the park was the Vinny Souza replacement became the real crux of it that we needed to address. And we signed Matos and we'd already signed Samari, and it looks like those are going to be our solutions in the middle. Hopefully they can live up to that. It sort of got lost a little bit that we needed a right winger, and maybe we accepted as a collective that it were going to be Brooks and Ukaki, but then we see Tom Cannon drifted out there, which is not his position at all. And you think, we need a solution here. Anyway, on deadline day, up rocks Che Ogbeni, and I think it's a very good signing. I really like Ogbeni as a signing. I think if he can get anywhere near the levels that he has in the Championship previously, then it's another creative outlet for us. I think he's an upgrade on those behind him now. I think he gives us something that we haven't had for so long, in that is legitimate pace in the side. If we're going to break and catch teams and press them high, he's going to be key to this. So I really like the Ogbeni signing. He is in front of Andre Brooks, who I am disappointed to give a 2 to. And people will disagree with me on this, and I welcome it as long as it's done in the right way. I've been really disappointed in him not kicking on, and I'm sure he has as well. Maybe he feels he hasn't been given the opportunity, and some think he changed the game when he came on against Millwall. I'm not so sure that's the case. I think he's very predictable, quite one-dimensional at the moment. There's certainly a player in there, and I want him to kick on and get better, but I wouldn't have been happy with him being our option on the right wing. And I don't think many would, if they're honest. We all want our young players to do well, and this is certainly not me trying to do him down at all. It's just me giving my honest opinion on where I think he is at the moment and what he can offer to the side. I think he's a very average option in the Championship as a right winger. And some may say he's not even a right winger because he came through as a centre midfielder, but that's obviously a very bottlenecked position for us at the moment. So Andre Brooks reluctantly gets a 2, but he's in front of the third man, who is completely unproven. Ukaki, I know he's looks like he's got a bit of pace about him, but we've not seen enough, have we? So altogether, the right wingers combined give us a 7 in terms of squad depth. So this is how we're looking at the moment. 7 as a goalkeeper, 8 at right back, 7 at right centre back, 8 at left centre back, and a 5 at left back. We've got a 9 and a 7 in centre midfield, and on the right wing, we're at 7. So again, I'm really pleased with the depth. Now this is where I think we have a real threat, and this is in what's traditionally known as the 10. It's the attacking midfielder spot, the Mark Duffy role, if you will. And you can play this several ways. Mark Duffy was unique in how he played it, and this man is definitely unique in how he plays it. The man that we kept on the final day, tight lines, Gus Hamer, excellent player. Excellent player. Doesn't always do it. If you watch Talking Sense with my dad the other day, you will see how disappointed he's been with Gus this season. Doesn't mean he can't do it on any given day, because he can. He's an absolute magician when he wants to be. It's just we've not seen it enough this season. I think it's harsh to say that he's been poorer than anybody else, because I think the whole team's been poor other than Tanganga. But on his day, Gus Hamer, anybody in this division takes Gus Hamer. Absolutely anybody in this division, and he walks into their side. He's the player of the year. We've still not figured out the best position for him. I think it's the 10. But that means sacrificing Callum O'Hare, who I also think is a very good player. I've heard little murmurings of stick for Callum O'Hare. He is definitely a trier. He presses really well, always busy. His engine is fantastic. I think he's a little bit shot shy, which we've talked about. I think he's a little bit reluctant to pull the trigger at times and maybe doesn't always make the best decisions in the final third. Wants to do one too many touches or one too many tricks. But again, like Hamer, I think he gets into the majority of sides in this league. And I think overall that gives us a strength of 9 in our 10 position. I think people will be very envious of these two in terms of our options on the pitch. So that is the strength I feel we've got for that position. Left wing is a really interesting one as well, because I think we've improved here. So we've moved Gus Hamer from the left into the middle. I think it's widely acknowledged that Gus was playing on the left, or certainly it seemed as though this was the case at the time. Gus was playing on the left so that O'Hare could be in the 10 and you can still have Gus drift inside and be that second 10 if you like. And that might be something we end up reverting back to during games or something like that. But we've also got loads of options on the left now. So we brought Louis Barry in. And I were expecting, maybe unfairly, I were expecting a bit more from Louis Barry. I think we've, like my dad said, I think we've seen it in flashes. I think he's decent to good at the moment. I think there's certainly potential for him to kick on and become very good at the level. But I think you're pushing it if you say he's been any more than good. But also he's got competition now. And somebody who has done it at the level before and played in the Premier League, Tahith Chong, has come in. And I think he's our option. Look, this Chong can play on the right, but we are giving one position to each player. And I think in this position, Chong does pose a threat to Barry's starting place. And that's what you need. You need strength in depth. And I'm giving Chong a decent to good. I think he's a really good squad option. I don't think he's coming to be a starter. That's on him. The pressure is on him to force his way into the side. And that's what you need, as I say. There's also a third man in the equation. Somebody who started pre-season on fire. And we're thinking, oh my God, this is going to be the year. They've tried him in a new position on the left. He's bulldozed his way through these National League sides. or these lower league teams. And he's looking incredible. And then it comes to competitive games and it's not quite clicked for him. Ryan One is the third man in this position. I think if we'd have had the chance, maybe it was One to look at getting rid of on loan, but just to get him some football, because I think he's going to struggle now. But I think that the transfer policy has been so all over the place that there's been no plan really for these. Well, we were keeping him until we knew that we had something, and we didn't know we had something until really late on the window. So that gives us a left wing strength of 7 out of 10. And that puts us in, again, a really strong position, I think. 7 and 9 and a 7 across the 3 behind the striker. It's good, this, isn't it? I really enjoy doing these because there is a lot of work goes into them, but I find it interesting to see it visually as well in terms of how strong we are. So moving into the final position then, the position that everybody wants to play when they're a kid. Everybody wants to be the number 9. Striker. And a very difficult position as a lone striker. And the lad that forced his way in last season, Ty Campbell, hasn't got off to the best of starts, I think it's fair to say, but none of the team have. And I think we can't judge him until we start getting service to him properly. So he is as a lone striker, he can do a little bit of everything. I think he's strong and quick. He can certainly finish, as we know. So he's got a little bit of everything. And I'm giving him a very good rating. I have expressed my concerns about Ty Campbell in terms of his form. And that will, that's just me speaking openly and honestly. But we've now got people in reserve who can potentially come on and really impact that. I've given Danny Ings a reserved decent to good. But if I'm honest, and we go on his past record, you could label him as very good. It's just he's 33 and we've only seen, 20 minutes of him or something so far. We don't know what level Danny Ings is going to play at. So we're giving him a cautious, decent to good rating. And I think that's probably fair at this stage. But I would not be surprised at all if Danny Ings nudges his way into this side by coming on and making a real impact in a couple of games. A bit like Ty Campbell did to Kiefer Moore. Maybe Danny Ings can do that to Ty Campbell, or maybe Danny Ings comes on, makes an impact, and it needs Campbell to go up a level to keep his place, which is what it's all about, isn't it? And the third man in this spot, in a striker's role, not a right winger's role, is Tom Cannon. he's the third man because he didn't leave on deadline day. And I just feel for Tom Cannon. I do. But he's certainly the third out of the three, isn't he, at the minute? So that leaves us with a squad depth of 8 as a striker. And in the final reckonings, the final throws, this is what our squad depth looks like. Now, talk to me. Talk to me about what you guys think about this. Is this what our team is like, in your opinion? Is this how strong we are as a side? Is there any excuse now for Ruben Selles if this is what we're determining is our squad depth? Because I don't think there is. I don't think he can have... He's certainly been backed. It's really exciting to think of what we can do now with a team like this. Right, let's get back to... Where were we? It was Stephen's comment, weren't it? I'm going to try and get back to it. Oh no, it was Philip. Philip, here we go. Phil says, I've just got a feeling the owners will go for someone like Carrick and O'Neill rather than Dyche or Cooper. That's exactly how I feel, Phil. I think that's how they'll do it. I think they're more of a hybrid between completely experimental, like Ruben Selles, and a little bit more, a bridge between proven and unproven, and also a bridge between manager and head coach, rather than Dyche and Cooper, who are more managers, I would say. Are we going to grade the manager? No, we're not. Danny says, nice seeing a few more bodies through the door. 3-5-2 for me. Pack that midfield. We have the bodies now. Need a tactical change as it clearly doesn't work, Jimmy. Dyche, if Sayers goes. Nice marine haircut, Jimmy. Thank you, mate. Thank you. Will says, love these. Obviously behind the Tanganga signing, I think the one that gets me the most excited is the Chong one. Lots of untapped potential and could easily become a great signing, or easily Brewster 2.0. He could. That's exactly right, Will. He could go one or two ways, couldn't he? He could, and we might see different Chongs in different games. We might see a 9 out of 10 one game and a 5 out of 10 another. I've got a feeling that is how he's going to be for us, in all honesty. Can see Ings getting double figures this season with the quality he has, says Danny. He's going to have to get minutes into. If he's going to do that, he needs to be the starting striker. But will he get in front of Ty Campbell, who's earned his shirt? Let's be right. He's just got to keep it, hasn't he? Silas says, can't say too many centre-backs now. Compare this to the start of the season. We're progressing well. Yeah, we are progressing well. Can't say not enough centre-backs now, I think you mean. But that's fair. Tom says, morning, Jim, mate. Just been discussing with my dad about different formations and where the players will go. I think we're more undecided now than we were before. Nice to have a bit of depth in places. Yeah, completely agree. Dad says, are you going to give the manager a rating? No, I'm not. Not going to do nothing till Sayers has been shown the exit door, says Stephen Fletcher. Do you think we bring anyone else in on a free? Well, this was asked earlier, weren't it? I think Josh asked it. I think the only place we can possibly improve, and Man Mountain mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, is left back. And I don't think anybody comes in front of Burrows, because I know I've given him a 3, Burrows. But I think he's our starting left back, and I think I'm confident that he improves with better players alongside. If you've got Ben Mee, who's a left footer, so we'll play on that side. If he's got Ben Mee talking to him, he had Suter before talking to him, and he played really well. I'm confident Burrows gets better from here on. But somebody underneath Burrows, which I don't think we'll do, because I think we have got Sam McCallum, and if we can't sell him now, so I don't think we will bring anybody in at left back. But I'd like somebody like Jamal Lewis to come in and compete with Harrison Burrows. But I don't think it'll happen, to be fair. I know people have spoken about Emmanuel Dennis. Where does he play, though? Where does he fit in? I'll be surprised now if we bring in any free agents. I don't think we will. We spoke to Ollie a few weeks ago. He said he will be back roughly November time, says James. Ollie Arblaster. There you go. So we've given it a comfortable estimate, haven't we? So 8 weeks or so. That'd be brilliant. Pecky's overrated. Diego Girolamo version 2, says Steve Fletcher. Oh, that's harsh. No, I don't think he is. I think last season he showed his consistency. My dad was saying on Talking Sense a couple of days ago that he feels like he needs a rest. He was waning towards the back end of last season, and he's obviously, we all know he's been asked to do a job that he's not particularly comfortable with at the moment. So I think it's harsh though to say he's overrated. Morning to you, mate, says James. Been a while, don't fancy Carrick, but I'd love to see Cooper at the helm when the Sayers nightmare has gone. Up the blades, up the Ramble. Silas says, thank you, mate. I hope you're good. Silas says, Matos can play a lot of positions in the midfield, including number 10. He can, yes, that's true. Oxford had been playing all over and looked promising. I would agree having Matos and Samari together control the midfield. Paul says, Sayers and his so-called coaching staff have no footballing knowledge between them. None of them have ever played pro football. Need a proven manager and coaches which we already had. Big mistake up the Blades, up the Ramble. Phil says, Harry Toffolo, he's been playing in America. He's a solid left-back, Jim. He is, pal. And is he a free? I like him as a player. I really like him as a player. Would he come to sit on the bench? Is the first question. Would he leave America, where he's probably playing a bit? As if he's a free agent, then he's an option. But I don't think we'll do it because we've got Sam McCallum, and it's a little bit like stacking them up, isn't it? Whereas if you think McCallum's passable, it's like with as much chance of signing a backup to Harrison Burrows, a stronger backup to Harrison Burrows than we've got, as we have of signing a free agent goalkeeper behind Cooper. Because it's a similar drop-off for me. I think Cooper to Davis and Burrows to McCallum, and nobody's really saying we're going to go out and sign whoever's a free goalkeeper at the minute, either, because it's not seen as a priority, I don't think. Louis says, morning, Jimmy. I think on paper, Ogbene is a shoe-in for right wing. Brooks too hot and cold. Okaki is way off it. I think we need an out-and-out as well as right-footed. We need an out-and-out as well, right-footed. We play narrow off the left, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. Luke says, I like Ogbene certainly a lot more than the Chong signing. Not sure on that one. Can say, mate, the content has been top class lately. You and the lads smashing it, especially during a tough start up the Ramble. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate that. As I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it, I'm a big fan of your stuff as well. So if you ever want to come on, and then you just let me know. Sonny says, I think Ogbene's such a great signing, but if I have ever wanted a footballer to do well, it's Ogbene. Did you mean Ogbene twice? How can you dislike the man apart from his acting skills? Oh, Ogbene, yeah, absolutely right. That were ridiculous, weren't it? When he's on phone. Hey, mate, I've just signed for the Blades. Great smile and great pace. Get him in. Get him in indeed. Absolutely right. I think he's a really good signing. Really, really. Gives us something we just have not got and haven't had for such a long time. How many have we sent out on loan? Not enough for me. Not many, I don't think. Not many at all. And now, I believe, you can only send them to National League because the window's closed. So like Louis Marsh, Ryan Oney, Owen Hampson. Owen Hampson might, it's just not been the best planned window. I'm pleased with everybody we've got in. And I'm pleased with the outs as well. I think you can make an argument for each one that it was necessary. But in terms of the loan outs and for the development players, and even some of the earlier ins, like Tyler Binden, for example, he's come to play. He's now at least fourth choice, isn't he, behind McGuinness, me, and Tanganga. And you could even slot in Godfrey before you'd slot in Binden, potentially, if you don't believe in him. Brooks is inconsistent. A big year for him. Needs to perform to stop with the club. It's really tough, isn't it, for Andre Brooks? Really tough. And now I think he's going to be an impact player from the bench. Does that affect his confidence, or does that galvanise him to say, no, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take my shirt back. I'm gonna keep the signings out of the team. We'll have to wait and see. Big test of his character, I think. Brooks' first touch is appalling. Andy's decision making. It's been disappointing, hasn't it, Scott? I think at times. We're certainly not going to go in on anybody, but you've got to be honest when you're making an assessment of players, aren't you? And that's just my honest assessment of how we are. Ian says, I really hope Sayers uses the squad to its strengths. We have depth now. I've never been an optimist or pessimist. The realist in me is slightly, cagily optimistic. Yeah, me too. Me too. The way I honestly see it, Ian, is he either turns it around, which I'm all for. I don't think he will, if I'm honest. But if he can, then that is what we all want. Or they'll sack him. And then there's a really strong squad here to work with for the new manager. Ray says, yeah, Brooks is so predictable at times, doesn't look interested. Hopefully Ogbene will be an upgrade. Did well at Rotherham, did well at Luton. And then he got a big injury into Ipswich and will struggle to get in because they've signed a couple of big hitters now. A young wonder kid from abroad, apparently, and Casey McAteer as well from Leicester. So, yeah, he's been nudged out and hopefully he can have a real impact for us. My brother's a Wednesday season ticket holder, says Chef Steele, and told me he really hates McGuinness. He said he's a bit slow, but he wins every single header. Sounds like a poor man's Harry Suter. Interesting. Phil says, I put Hamer on the left, O'Hare in the 10 with Ings instead of Campbell. I'll probably get a bit of stick for this, mate. It's opinions. You shouldn't get a bit of stick for it because that might happen. I just think and you could do that. You could definitely do that, and that might happen during game, to be honest. Cooler King says, fans of all clubs tend to overrate their own players a bit. As an outsider looking in, I think that's the case here a few times. Cooper is the one truly outstanding player, and maybe Hamer when he's on. Thank you, Cooler King, for the reality check. But let me be blinkered and biased on the odd occasion, please. I had a 3 point. I think I have to say as well, Cooler King, I'm talking about for the level. I'm not talking about as individuals and where they could get to in their career. I think in terms of up against the Championship, Gus Hamer is excellent. I would argue that with anybody. Michael Cooper is excellent. We'll see. Hyder says we have a suitor-sized hole in midfield. Still very worried about the squad height. Fair, more than fair. Kiefer Moore is a bigger loss than people think. The worst problem is Ruben Selles. With Ruben Selles is he'd still lose with Arsenal's team. Now Hamer can play in his natural game instead of having to track back and get the ball. We need to see the best of him now. He's staying for now. James says preferred Hamer on the left. Yeah, not a lot of us would have thought that this time last season, would we? If we're honest. But yeah, I can understand people asking for that. Only is a 2 at best. Well, he's a +1 for us. So, yeah, I know you're not a fan, pal. I know you're not a fan. Lewis says, I'm for accommodating both Gus and Cal. You could either have to play a formation with 2 10s or play Gus on the left where he was a champ player of the year. Both of them quality with high physical output. Yeah, again, we can make that work. I think we talk about squad depth though, and if there wasn't Callum O'Hare in the 10, then he would be our other 10 option, wouldn't he? And I think he's a better player than Callum O'Hare. So that's why I've gone with where I've gone with it. Alan says, got to start playing 2 up top, Campbell and Ings to start with. I don't think it'll happen, to be honest, Alan. I don't think it will. I'm not against it at all. I think you could go 2 up top. I think you could scrap the wingers and go 3-5-2 if you wanted to. But I don't think we'll go 2 up top. Ian says, never wanted to be a number 9 when I was a kid. Number 7 for me. Well, you know what I mean. A lot of people want to be a striker, don't they? Sariki 3, Godfrey 4. I think right back is slightly high. What would you say? Sariki's average and Godfrey's decent to good? That's opinions, mate. That's all it is. Playing One at right wing back was unforgivable. Should be a sacking offence on its own. Clueless, says Ray. It was a really strange decision. Luke says, just need a striker to click and play on their strengths as we have the quality, but no one's been as good since Billy. That's fair as well. That is fair. I think Danny Ings is the closest thing we've got to Billy Sharp. Jamal Lewis on a free, good player and better back up to Burrows than McCallum, says Alessandro. Will push Burrows level up or risk losing his spot? Yeah, possibly. But again, I don't think we'll do it. I'd like to. I don't think we will. Tim says, not as hot on Campbell as most. Streaky for me, and I think a fit Ings should start. This is why it's good though, Tim, isn't it? That a lot of people agree with you, I think. My dad certainly agrees. I tend to agree, which is a concern that I've had previously. So I would like to see, and now it's good because we've got the competition. We think it's a more than competent backup, don't we? Which is good. Really want Cannon to kick on too with the other 2 with dodgy fitness records. He might see plenty of game time. Yeah, he could. That's true. Is there an update on Blaster? Can see you've added him to the depth, says Adam. Up the Ramble, up all is well, Jimmy. Is there an update? Yes, well, James has given us one in the comments. I think it was November time. So we're looking at around 8 weeks, hopefully, best case scenario. So fingers crossed. I'm not aware, to be honest, of any updates. I see you've gone 4-2-3-1. I don't think Selles will change his tactics and switch from the 4-3-3, which will be his downfall. You need 100% switch formation to stop the rot, but with Sayers in charge. Laughing emojis. Scott. We look good on paper. Oh, we've got the quality, not quantity. Only one cash signing. Hope the signings perform. Only one cash signing. There weren't only one cash signing. Okay. David Smith says, morning. Hey up, pal, you all right? Morning, Jimmy. Sayers has no excuses now. Let's see what happens. Or I think you should Uber him to the M1 up the blades, up the Ramble. Top man. Who knows? I'd love to try 3-4-2-1 or go back to 4-2-3-1 with Hamer in the 10 or right-sided attack? Left-sided. You meant left-sided. No problem, Scott. Ian says, round pegs in round holes, and this squad should be top 6. Absolutely right. That's the way we're playing, isn't it? Round pegs, round holes. No, it's not that difficult, is it? Obviously, this is just putting players in formation and not patterns of play or anything like that. You can pick any player in any formation. It's the manager's job to get them playing, but surely this gives them the best chance of achieving something. Tom says, adding to what Luke said earlier, mate, the content has been brilliant recently, keeping us all interested through a rubbish spell. Hopefully you're not too busy, though. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. I'm at a wedding tomorrow, so there'll be no content tomorrow, and then we're back with 3 Mardy Blades on Sunday night. So I'm having a little bit of a breather, I suppose. First time in a little while. Tom says, I remember seeing some people say Sousa would be the easiest to replace if we lost him this summer. Oh, how wrong they were. Yeah, absolutely right. It's been a really tricky one, hasn't it? Lewis says, remember to like and subscribe. Let's get the Ramble to 10k. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Lewis with the cheerleading. I appreciate it, pal. Mark Meldrew says, Hamer on the left. If you want O'Hare in the team, they don't work together in the middle. They've been played like they've been played up to now. Okay. Luke, Tom, the Ramble is simply the best, says Brian. Thank you, mate. Alessandro says, when it was only murmurs of a change from Wilder and Culture, I joked about one of Thiago Motta or Hassan Hootel, both still available. Now it has to be Cooper or Dyche, Hassan Hootel still arguably. I just think we might struggle to get the big names at the moment. I don't think we're a great sell. I think the squad is fantastic. The club is obviously big at championship level. The infrastructure is good. But we are bottom at league. And I know it's early, but there is a big turnaround in mentality to come here. And I hope the new players offer that. Whether it's Sayers or somebody else, I hope the new players inject a little bit of life and character into this side. And I think they could. Wakey Blade says Sayers has to go. If we could get Dyche or Cooper, I'll get behind it. Anyone else, I can only continue to push for Wilder. Tim says, what a legend, planning for a wedding for the international break. Absolutely right. It's my cousin, yeah. I was buzzing with that. Absolutely buzzing. Thank you to Faye. Scott says, agree, we do look good on paper. Trouble is, when they go out on the pitch, they look like they're made of paper. I think that's fair. I think that's fair from what we've seen so far this season. So, that is it. That is our squad assessment. I've got through all the comments as well, which I like to do. Hang on, Chip, but it just comes in with the last one. We need to build a team around Gus in the 10. Some would say that, build a team around your best player, but then if we lose him in January, I don't want to get onto that sort of conversation at a minute, but that's by the by. So thank you to everybody for joining us this morning. Let me know what you think of not only my squad assessment, but what you would do with your squad, knowing what we have at our disposal now. A few have mentioned Hamer on the left. A few have said Samari and Matos together rather than Arblaster or Peck alongside Matos or Samari. Some people think I've ranked the right backs too high. Some people may think I've ranked the left backs too low, but it's just a bit of fun, really. I think it's just a good visual to see how strong we are on paper, and with reasonable, I think fairly reasonable assessments. And that's it. That's all we're doing. And I think it should give us a little bit of confidence coming out of the international break in what we have. Because if Ruben Selles doesn't get it right, then someone else will come in and be tasked with doing that. So I don't think it's going to last much longer as it is. And that is what I'm hanging on to. And that's what you should too. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blades! Charged up